Okay, everyone. We're going to talk about the Adam and Eve story. So, according to the Christ letters, the Adam and Eve story is an allegory. So, I always wonder what that means. So, we're in the part of the Christ letters now where it's telling us how everything was created. First, it says, in the beginning, there was electricity and magnetism, otherwise called mother, father, all otherwise called masculine and feminine, was in a state of equilibrium. And just like we were taught in school that there was a big bang, something happened and that interrupted that equilibrium. And that's how all creation started. Chaos started. That's how all creation started. So, what if in the beginning, Adam, the atom, according to Bill Donahue, he said, and I agree with him, I come to realize he's up to something when he says it's atom. Adam is atom. And the creation of Eve is the splitting of the atom. So, listen how this lines up with creation. So, when that Big Bang happens, the masculine and feminine, the electricity and magnetism, separated but together. Because remember, we're all one, separated but together. And in that separation, you have the masculine, the electricity, the doing its thing, and the feminine, our mother doing its, and our mother magnetism doing her creation, and they're doing it separate but together. If you get what I'm saying. So I started thinking, why did the serpent go to Eve? You know, we've been taught how Eve the temptress and how Eve allowed Adam to sin. Really? Okay, so when that separation took place, our mother, feminine, otherwise known as magnetism, um, also separated, but she's creating with the divine, or father, with the divine's father, the divine masculine electricity. This is how we live in an electromagnetic universe. If this is all makes sense about electricity and magnetism, and that's how we create the situation we find ourselves in. By this electricity and magnetism, we're using the energy from our mother and father to create our reality. Okay, so when our father creates, the job of the feminine is to attach. So what if it creates a positive, it's like to attach a negative. If father create a negative energy, her job is to attach a positive energy. She's doing the formation. She's an integral part of the creation. So, why would they say the serpent came to Eve? Because the feminine energy is the aspect of us when they were warned that don't eat of the tree of good and evil. There is only one thing in creation that I read in the Christ letter that represents the tree, the ego, our ego. Because Christ is saying our ego is part of our nature. So when we sin, we allow our ego, that selfishness, to take full control. That's the tree of good and evil. And our mother used that ego, that personality to create the world, to create good. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So that ego is used by us selfishly, but it should be used. We should give it to our creator, give it to source, to use it to create in us that heaven and earth, basically. That's that 10%. That ego is that 10% of the tithe that we need to give to the storehouse. Yeah. Okay, so I think the ego is that tree of good and evil, because even though it's part of who we are, it's part of our creation, it's caused us our sickness, it's caused us our disease, it caused us for all the problem we find ourselves in today. So what does this have to do with Adam and Eve? It's the aspect, that ego aspect of it. It's a part of our mother. It's a part of magnetism, bonding, and rejection. So when they say, that's why, yeah. So when they say the serpent went to Eve and said, "Listen, if you eat of this tree, you won't die." There was some truth to it. They wouldn't have died a physical death, but they would have died a spiritual death, in that don't understand who we are, don't understand where we came from. And when they eat from that tree, I know the Bible say apple. If we eat from that tree, that's how they knew they were naked. That's how they knew they were naked, because they ate off the ego aspect of it, the self aspect. They use it selfishly. And that's what's happening to us today. That's what's causing our sin. So when we say we sin, we are talking about a part of us that's creating an environment of selfishness. And we're here to create love. The fruits of the ego. The fruits of the ego, it's all selfish, it's all me. It's everything the ego does is to help the self feel, the self, which represents, which our Father gives us, gives us a false sense of security. That's what the ego does. It attracts people to us. We use it to attract people to us and hold on to that and hoping that it will make us feel good. And we use it to avoid other people. That's the role of the feminine aspect of us. And that's why they said the serpent went to Eve. The serpent went to Eve. It's that ego, that bond, that magnetism. That ego comes from that magnetism, that bonding and rejection, and our individuality comes from our Father. That electricity. So when the Bible says, for one man sin, so when Adam and Eve sin, it caused the whole world to sin. But for one man obedience, like Christ. And what is it saying? With Christ's obedience, we all have life. Because that Christ consciousness. So that ego is to line up with our that spirituality, line up with the source of our being, our mother and father. It's supposed to line up so we can create, so we can receive the blessings here on earth. So when that Christ consciousness come, it's gonna overcome. When we get rid of our selfishness, when we get rid of the me, and live a life of love and togetherness for everyone, and want that for everyone without hurting each other, then that allows that Christ consciousness to come in control, and then we'll have peace on earth. And let me tell you, if we want to experience good things in your life, if you find this message and you want healing, you want deliverance, we want all the good things in our lives, we have to tap in to that Father, mother consciousness. We have to tap into that. Represents electricity, magnetism, and the electricity represents our thoughts, and the magnetism represents our emotions. So you see how that motherly emotion let them said, that's why they say the serpent went to Eve, because that emotion, that ego represents who Eve was. And through we not allowing that ego to be that selfish, we lined up with our true purpose, the ego's true purpose, to line up with our mother and to line up with our father. That's how I see it. So we got to get rid of these old ideas that Eve makes Adam sin. No, it's not physical. It's all energy. It's all energy. And whoever wrote the Bible, they were just trying to explain it in the most simplest form, or they're just trying to cause an imbalance on earth where woman, the feminine energy, is so suppressed. And that's caused the disease that caused all the imbalance we see on the earth today. That's what I think happened in creation. So the goal. So when we see someone sin, they're just allowing that ego aspect of them, that selfish aspect of them, that's to rule their entire body, to rule their universe. So that's what sin is. That's what sin is. So that's my explanation. Let me hear what you think. Be blessed, everyone. God bless.